Yeah, you weren't recording. You were recording, you just weren't talking.
Running time for this tonight.
Try again.
Film recording now.
Yeah.
Oh, and the next slide. Can you take this one by chance? I can't see. Part of mine. Safe driving habits. So this is just a little bit of an overview of some of the things that are important for you that we are going to go over tonight. So, safety starters, I believe is what that says. Let's see, safety starters, make yourself visible, pre-plan your routes, slow down, pay attention, scan 360 degrees. Have an escape plan, maintain a safe distance, just for weather. And do that.
I'm old and it's just part of it.
Technical issues, sorry guys. Out of the ones that I just said, what do you guys have any questions about any of them? Do you guys have any questions of things that I said? Do you have one, London? No? I don't.
Yes.
Safety starters was one.
I have a question.
Yes.
You said how would escape
Mhm.
like a scenario inside your driveway.
What was the first part you said? What did that mean?
Do you need like is escape plan how to add it to the car? Or
Yes. The answer is yes to both of those, because what if you found yourself in a river? How would you? I didn't ask what your escape plan was. I was just giving an example of when you would need one. So, and then another instance would be have an escape plan, like if you're stuck in traffic, how do you get out of it? If your windows are electric and one is in, will they slow down? I think it depends on if the water has fried your electric panel or not. I'm not clear.
Keep a hamburger. So if you're in scenario, you like can't get out of your.
That's not what we're talking about tonight then. Let's go back to our points. All right, so scan 365 escape, maintain a safe distance. Okay, you guys can all read, I'm sure. Don't know any of these words, let me know. But any of these 15 things on the screen, do you want to ask a quick question on before we move on? Yes.
What do you mean by say that?
Keep your distance from the car in front of you. Yes.
What does it mean by like what does number 13 say?
Number 13, impaired driving. That means when you're older and don't drink and drive. Don't do, like, if you've had surgery and you are taking painkillers, don't drive when you're on medication, things like that. Can I move it downward? Okay, so these are just some really quick safety tips with some examples. So keep safe distance. You asked what the safe distance was. Keep safe distance from the vehicles. Whoa, that was. Which side of the road is the right side of the road to drive on here? Don't put you in a car. On the right side, drive on the right side. Always give an indicator when changing lanes. What is that called?
You never.
Yellow out. Blinker. Don't use both phones for driving. Do not necessarily for no reason. So be patient while driving. Drive with the speed limits. When you're riding a motorcycle or bicycle, buckle up. Do not drink and drive. So our safety starters, lock your doors. That's important, and you'll see why in just a minute. Buckle up. Why is it important? Buckle up? Was one reason exactly. Adjust your seat mirrors before you even put your car in drive. Before you even start. No loose articles, and you'll see in a minute what no loose articles means as well. So when you lock your doors, it increases the integrity of your vehicle for a crash, meaning. And it helps with. What does it help with? Like, not security,
Yes.
it helps, well, yes, but it helps with the impact, to make sure the car more structurally sound. It keeps you from getting like crushed.
I feel like your commercial completely belongs to this.
It keeps the good people in and the bad people out. So you're supposed to buckle up. Seatbelts are safe for everyone. They increase your survival rate by 55%. That's not a ton, but it is a quite thing. So it's not gonna 100% save you, but 45% survival rate is better than a 0. So when you wear it, you see how it's crossed. Make sure you put it correctly, so you don't want it to an extent. So again, make sure you're checking your mirrors before you move. You can't see all these green mirrors. Be dangerous. So one of my kids, I don't know if she still does, sits like this, super close to the. Why would this be a bad idea to sit so close?
Like break your
I
spine.
can't hear you.
Because you could break your spine if you got in a crash movie. Because it would go with the steering wheel.
Well, you can hit your head on it, you're close to the airbag, right?
Yeah, you're like too close to the airbag, like, there's something to do.
Exactly. So this piece of paper, is it saying you should be this close for a minute? This close. The flow. So you minimize your blind spots by the way you adjust your mirrors. So you should be able to see cars at all angles behind you, but should you only rely on your mirrors? Yes or no?
Yes.
Who says yes? Who says no? You're right, you should not rely on only your mirrors. You have to pay attention to your eyes and your surroundings. So we said flying projectiles that make sure you don't have anything loose in your car. Anything loose in a vehicle, when you do, when you do get in an accident, it becomes a flying projectile. Everything that you see there is going to go flying in that vehicle if they slam on the brakes or an accident. What do you think is going to happen to the baby?
It will die.
She'll get hurt for sure. Because all that stuff's going to fly around.
The doll?
No, the human.
It's human baby.
But I'm a human. So these are some 5 tips. And if you don't remember anything else, remember these 5 tips. So stay alert. You have to always be paying attention to pedestrians, which are what? People walking. Other drivers and others around you. Use your signal to communicate. Come to a complete stop at all intersections and red lights. Do not text and drive. 1 out of every 4. 1 out of every 4. Absent stress causes text driving. Use your headlights when necessary, especially at night and during inclement weather. What's inclement weather? That
Bad weather.
fog, snow, rain, sleet. Do not depend on this auto switch in bad weather. A lot of cars have auto on it, and that's great when it starts slightly raining. But if the rain picks up and your windshield wipers don't follow it, they don't start going quicker, you're not going to be able to see. So we talked, or some of you I think mentioned, what is playing the route wisely? No, that was escape route. This is kind of similar, but you have to keep in mind what the weather is going to be for that day. So, for example, if you live up on Signal Mountain and you know it's going to be rainy that day, do you think that you should leave a little earlier or late? You should leave early. You should make sure that you give yourself plenty of time to get where you're going, because not only is it raining, but you might miss some traffic. Or you might run into some construction, which in Chattanooga is pretty common, or you might get stopped by school bus. So you don't want to be running late. You need to make sure you give yourself plenty of time. They recommend, this is an PowerPoint and information that I got from various sources. This one source says make sure to plan like days close to home. That way it's just, if you are able, that way it's just easier for you to get home safer. So speeding leads to, what is a violation?
Ticket.
A ticket, a speeding ticket. But it can also lead to a serious collision or car accidents. And I'll show you in a couple of slides from here how speeding narrows your viewpoint, your peripheral vision, and lights. So, dangerous. So the leading cause for speeding is habit. You're just used to going fast. So you're going fast. Or poor planning. I was in a hurry. I didn't realize it was raining. I got stuck in construction and traffic and behind a school bus. So you're trying to make good time. So common driving distractions. What do you think they are? Nate, you have one?
Phone.
A phone? What else?
Maybe.
What else? Other people in the car, outside the car, or both? Both? Anything else, Chris? Food. Let's see, eating, grooming,
Watching films.
daydreaming. But the other things you guys said are also. So if you have to be on your phone, it's a hands-free state, right? It's not in all states, right, Joe? Yeah, or is it?
You might as well just assume it is.
So just assume that all states are hands-free, so you are less likely to crash as the person who. Why is it talking about hands-free and then let off? You're less likely. Oh, I'm reading it. Thank you guys. So if you are drunk or you're on the phone, distracted, you have a very similar chance. So if you are hands-free, you're undistracted, you have as much of a chance of not being an accident as somebody who's sober. Right?
What makes sense, you should be sober.
You should be sober, 100%, and we'll talk about that in a minute too. But they're trying to tell you that being distracted is similar to driving. Texting we're talking about. Social media, email. You are 23 times more likely to use tweets, email, and smart activity while driving. 23 times more likely. In the blink of an eye, your life can change forever. At 35 miles per hour, the time it takes to blink in your eye, you will travel 20 feet. Missing a crash by 20 feet is a very good miss. 20 feet. Do you have how far is 20 feet? Are we 20 feet?
No, we're 18 feet apart.
Close.
18.
Because these are 2-foot squares and I counted the squares, there's 9 of them, so it's 18 feet.
So, leading causes of collisions. Someone read those for me. Just start reading this, like.
Unsafe planning can be followed to the post excessive speeding, distracted driving, vehicle malfunction, not just people, decisions into the lives.
Yeah. Anybody have any questions, thank you, Jess, about any of these? Yes.
Where do you,
Do you like drinking under the influence? That's when you're drinking and driving.
like that person?
What?
Like that person on the picture?
We can't just.
He's really-
Yes. He's driving.
I don't think he's sleeping.
Driving under the influence of anything, legal or not, that alters your state of mind. Do you have a question? What yours? Okay, stand 360 feet, this means.
Watch where your
This.
parents are.
Not busy.
No, you gotta make sure though, that you're looking all the way around, and that's what I was talking about, not only paying attention to your mirror, paying attention around you too. So you wanna look obviously in front of you, directly in front of you into the horizon. You want to look like behind you and check your mirrors every 5 to 7 seconds. Don't look once and then not look again. If you're changing lanes or you're back, you have to continuously look to make sure that no one has popped into that blind spot. side to side, that peripheral vision, like I talked about. So when you're looking straight, you can see things over here, right? That's your peripheral vision. And the faster you're going, more narrow the vision gets. Forward view, so you're looking not just there, let's say your car's here, you're not just looking at the person right in front of you, but you're also skating ahead. You're trying to make sure that you see what's going on in front of you. Down view. Is that person about to turn? Is that person stopping? Because if that person stops, what do you think the next couple of cars are going to do? What do you need? You stop. So this is what you see when you look through the rear mirror. This is what you're going to see when you look through your side mirrors. And this is what you're going to see when you glance through your side mirror, your side windows. You see how all three of those give you a different viewpoint to help you make sure that you're paying attention to what's around you. Again, scan your mirrors every 5 to 7 seconds and do the shoulder glance over your shoulder. So making sure that you're not in a victim of a rear-end collision, you can actually keep yourself from having this happen in some cases. Because if you're checking your mirrors, you're paying attention again to what's around you, and you see someone coming up and you don't think they're going to stop, and you can get out of the way, you should. Whether that means being into the shoulder, turning onto a side street, whatever you have available. So you need to pay attention when you're stopping at intersections. They may not notice that you've stopped at an intersection. When you're merging onto highways, because they might not realize that you're going to merge when you do. I don't know, or you might not see them.
What they,
And stop and go traffic. So when you're in traffic and it's stopped, and then it goes a little bit, and it stops and it goes, a lot of rear end collisions happen then, because you look down for a second, you look over for a second, and they stop, and you have it, doesn't matter if you're going 2 miles per hour, it's still an accident. So this is an example of a rear end collision. So rear ending other vehicles, we call it a vehicle accidents actually. So they're more rear end accident than any other type of accident. So if you're making sure that you maintain a 3-second distance, then you can react safely. Meaning if you are both going, you're both driving, and their tail end passes that table and you count to 3 before yours does, then you're following at a good distance. Is it 1 car length? No, 2 or 3 car lengths? What is the suggested that you keep?
3 car lengths is a minimum,
3 car lengths away from the person in front of you.
just a 3-second following distance.
Braking distance is 3 to 12 times longer in bad weather conditions, meaning if it's raining, even a little bit, a lot doesn't matter, the roads are wet, snowing, foggy, whatever, the roads are a different consistency than normal, because it's wet or it's slick, right? So you're not gonna be able to brake same way that you would in normal sunny conditions, dry conditions. So when your speed increase, your peripheral vision decreases. I've said that a couple times. So if you're driving super fast, imagine when you are maybe on a roller coaster, or you're staring straight ahead and someone's driving the car and you're not paying attention and things are just zooming by you, right? Kind of looks like that. And that is called tunnel vision. So you just see what's in front of you and you don't see things around you in your peripheral vision. So when you're going 35 miles per hour, which is what it is in most, I guess, busy neighborhoods, or what are some is some type? No, that's a little faster. Neighborhoods is usually a good one, right? So the busier neighborhoods. So look how much.
Yeah, 25 to 35 in neighborhoods. Yeah.
Look how much your peripheral vision, your vision can take in. You're only going 35 miles. You see how it shrinks when you start going to 45? You see how much more it shrinks when you get to 55? Think about when you're on the interstate, you're going 70, 80 miles per hour. How much less you can see then? Why is it important to continuously look around you? Yes. like pedestrians, motorcycles, bicycles, random objects in the road like tires and boxes. When you approach intersections, before you pull out, you need to stand side to side because someone else might not realize that they have a red light and run that red light or stop sign. And if you're not paying attention, you'll get hit. Okay, here's your escape route. So in the event of driving emergency, you need to know your routes, escape routes. You have 3. Left, right, and
What about backwards? No, then you get.
I mean, usually there are people behind you. One would think.
But what if you do an 90-degree turn, then go for it?
I don't know what you said.
If you do a 90-degree turn, then you go for it.
Maintain a safe distance. I mentioned this a minute ago, but for the 3 seconds rule. So that car passed this tree, and 3 seconds later, this car should be passing this tree. And that is at least on dry conditions, the amount of distance or space you should have between you and another car, so that you don't get in a rear end collision. But I've mentioned this a few times, weather conditions, snow, water. What should you do? Slow down. Allow more time to get up earlier, leave your house sooner. Do whatever you need to do so that you're not having to speed in conditions that are not okay to speed in. Increase your following distance. Does that mean get closer to the car in front of you? Get further away. 6 seconds for rain. Instead of that 3-second rule, at least have that 6 seconds. 8 to 10 seconds for snow, for light snow. See, it's like a dusting. Ice, park it. Don't try to. Especially here. Nobody knows how to drive in that. So some of the other hazards of driving, it's not just bad weather, but it's difficult road conditions, which could just mean a lot of potholes or a kind of deep shoulder on the side that's really close to the road. It could mean poor lights, maybe it's dusk or dawn, or there's a glare on the road, cars around you, making it where you can't see very well. Heavy traffic, road work accidents we talked about already. So these are all things that can also hinder or be dangerous during driving. Do you guys know how to control a slide? Joe, you might want to share about this a little more. Because when you start sliding or skidding while you're driving, your instinct will probably be different than what you should do in order to control your vehicle. Is this what you do, Joe?
Yeah, you turn the way your tail of your is going.
So if your back wheel starts sliding due to ice or snow, the car starts to spin, it's known as oversteer. What you should not do ever is put brakes. It's the most common mistake drivers make during a slide in icy roads. Braking can only trigger the slide or make it worse. So you don't panic. So what are the 2 things you don't do? You never know. Brake and panic. Don't do those things. So oversteering can perpetuate the problem too. So you have to remain cool. Prevent a knee-jerk reaction, or what I call instinct. You turn, like Joe said, into the slide with your steering wheel to ensure the entire car is being straightened. It will alleviate the skid, put you back into complete control of your vehicle. And has anybody been in the vehicle when somebody you've been riding with has skid? Did they lose control, or did they got re-establish control, right? You have? You raise your hand. All right, any questions about this? This can happen even if you're driving like the all-wheel drive vehicles, pickup trucks, things like that. Pickup truck is heavier in the front than in the back. I've done this on dry, fine road conditions, driving a pickup. So it can happen not just in icy or snowy conditions. So we talked about staying back, but we didn't talk about it in this respect. So when you come up to a stop sign, I did briefly mention this, but I don't know if anybody heard me. When your light turns green, what should you do the second it turns green? Look, wait and look. Allow space. Because if you start inching forward and someone didn't realize that light turned red for them and they see. What was 8? What was what? It was 8. One. I don't remember. Stop behind traffic. So if you cannot see these types. You should be able to see the tires on the car in front of you when you stop. And that's the appropriate distance away from that car. The same thing, you'll never really know this. Well, you will, because you'll be able to see their tires. But if they look in their rearview mirror, they can't see the front of your hood or your bumper, too close to them. Which probably means you can't see their tires. So you know this. If you do that to police officer accident, they will pull you over. And you will probably get a ticket. So parking lot collisions. Have you guys seen this or been in a parking lot collision? I have been in a parking lot collision. Super easy to do. I don't think it's been more than one. So parking lot collisions, the number of collision for the CNO Health, which is where this slide came from. But a lot of times in big hospital or big corporate buildings, malls, places like that, there's a ton of traffic, right? Or not traffic, but cars and pedestrians, and you're trying to get out and there's a car coming this way, there's a car coming this way. What is the best way to park in an instance? Back. And we'll do it. So you have the middle views, because cars are designed to go forward, not backwards. When you're backing at a spot, and someone else is backing at a spot, that's what happened here. You didn't, if you're not paying close attention and you're in a blind spot and you didn't look that way again, you're gonna hit each other. So don't back up, pull through. See that car? See this car? It's pulling through, so it doesn't have to back out. So in a lot of instances, you can find a spot where there's a spot right in front of it, you can pull through. That way when you leave, what you do? Pull out instead of having to try that. So if you can't pull through, you back in. And then that way, when you back in, again, you can pull out and you can avoid accidentally rear-ending somebody when they're leaving. There are obviously situations where you aren't able to do that if there are signs or if the parking spaces are a certain way or if there are curbs. But whenever you can, take precautions in order to keep yourself safe. So you always want to make sure you're using your signal, even when backing up. You position your vehicle, you watch for impatient drivers, pedestrians, and then you slowly back up. So he started here, he's got his blinker on. He pulls forward so he can back into this spot. But before he starts backing up, he's going to check his ears and his blind spots to make sure nobody's coming behind him, right? So scan left, look over your shoulder, check all your mirrors, check your camera if you have one, tap the horn if you need to alert anybody that doesn't realize you're backing up, and then you can safely leave your parking spot. So walking around your vehicle is helpful too, because you will see others and others will see you around your vehicle. So let's say you're getting in, but you don't know, maybe a toddler. You don't know if there's a toddler standing over here because the mother's on the other side of the vehicle putting in a baby. You didn't see the toddler, or maybe someone, there's a cat that decided to curl up and maybe your tire, or you never know. So if you walk around your vehicles, you'll make sure to see things that are hidden and others will see you. That way, you're checking your vehicle, because you always want to make sure that your vehicle hasn't been damaged. Somebody could have dinged you with their car door, Or maybe you have a slow air leak in your tire and your tires become low. You won't know that about these tires over here, if you just get in your driver's, right? If you walk around, you'll be able to check those things. So prior to backing up, always remember, get out and look. So if you get in your car and you started doing something and you're going to back up, but you can hear confidence. So you don't know what's around you anymore. You might want to get out again, depending on where you are, depending on circumstances. Because if you're in a busy mall parking lot or you're at a playground, because you've got some friends there, you're hanging out for a minute. Not playground, park, whatever. There are little kids around, there are balls around, you never know. So you always want to be safe, it's better to be safe than sorry. This. Why would they even have this? It's going from-
No.
Why?
Beginning.
I mean, sure,
Maybe
maybe
you are awake and it's for like,
alert. Right, just because you're awake doesn't mean you're alert. And if you're driving in distance, or maybe you didn't sleep all night before, or you had a long day at work or school and it's tired. You might not mean to doze off, but it happens.
there are rules in the like stuff that they make us sign. That says we're not allowed to row or drive.
That's smart, because you exerted a lot of energy roasting and never got it. That makes a lot of sense, because you might end up not driving away and or. So every year there are thousands of deaths caused by fatigue. It might be a long distance car riding, you get tired on those. So 320,000, the annual number of drowsy driving crashes on US roadways. 109,000 average is the annual number of injury-related drowsy driving crashes on US roadways. And 6,400 is the average annual number of fatal drowsy driving crashes on roadways, which means someone died in those crashes. So do not depend on short fixes. Loud music, it'll keep you up and awake for a minute, right? Rolling down the window, turning the AC on high. It's gonna alert you, bring your senses back to being alert for a minute, a couple minutes, maybe 30. Whoops. Caffeine. Some people it works with some people, it doesn't even affect. So make sure you're getting enough rest. Make sure on long rides, car rides, to stop regularly, to know your own personal worst times to drive. Maybe you don't, so you shouldn't drive long distances in the morning if you can help it. Maybe you're great in the morning. Know yourself. And do not try to push through or try to make it discomfort. When you start feeling your obligation, that's going to save potentially your life and others. So there's no excuse for impaired driving. We're talking about driving UIs earlier. So every day in America, 28 people die as a result. Wait. Yes, every day. Oh, every day. Every day. 28 people die because of drunk driving. 10,200 lives are lost every year because of people who decide to drive or impaired. That equates to life loss every, this is again, is this slide I got from, I didn't catch that typo, every 52 minutes. So less than every hour, there's a life lost, somebody driving impaired. That involves not just alcohol, but I mentioned legal and illegal substances earlier. Driving impaired, your mind is impaired in any way whatsoever. And that could be having surgery, being on painkillers, having anesthesia. That's why they tell you can't drive after that. So there's no excuse for it, because there are so many different ways for you to get around if you're impaired, or if you're drowsy, like we were talking about a minute ago. What are some consequences? Be arrested.
Yeah.
Or get fines.
I mean,
Yes, it's coming. Legal fees, loss of license, jail time, embarrassment, job loss. In addition to that, is driving while impaired worth all of this?
where did you get all of,
What?
where did you get all of?
You very much could get all of this. If you're lucky, you might just lose your life. Then you don't get any of those. Just saying.
That's not true.
No, you
get all
You literally couldn't get all of these.
You'd still be embarrassed.
So you could, okay, you're driving drunk, you get pulled over by an officer. That officer does a test, impaired driving test on you. You fail, they arrest you. And you have to go to court. You have to pay fines and costs associated with going to court. You're gonna need to hire an attorney probably. You have to pay them. You lose your license or suspended or revoked because you can't drive drunk. You will probably, possibly, even if it's just for a couple of days, you will go to jail. Because all your friends and family know you've done this, you're embarrassed.
Then you lose your job.
And you could lose your job because of the work that you missed in jail.
Hey, can you hear me?
That's a big one. You're missing work because you're in jail.
There's also contracts that say if you get a DUI or something, you can lose your contract, which is.
Just think of like a taxi.
Right, like back here, we were doing, or talking about the ways, these right here, if any of these guys that do these jobs, get a DUI, they lost their job for sure.
How I know.
So, avoiding impaired drivers. So if you see somebody weaving in and out of lanes, they're impaired somehow. It might not be from alcohol or drugs. It might be from they're sleepy, or it might be they're distracted. Either way, they're possibly going to cause an accident, and we need to stay away from them. If they're hugging the lines, if you see them too close to the left or the right line. If they're cutting corners too wide or too short. Now, sometimes people do that if there's nobody else around. That doesn't necessarily mean anything, but if they do it a few times, you want to stay away from it. So if they're driving and you see the red light, I mean, the light's red up ahead and they're not stopping and then they slam on their brakes. Last second stops. They're not paying attention there. So delay and pulling out. So if they're at that light, they turn green and they're still sitting there. They're not paying attention there. If they're tailgating you, if they're riding you too close, that can cause them, they will potentially rear end you. But they also means they're not paying attention. Driving recklessly in any way, all of those are considered reckless, but it could be speeding and other things. If they're going too slow, that there's you can, if you're not on the speed limit, whether it's too fast or too slow, both are not okay. So if they're driving too slow, they're not paying attention there. If there's a fluctuation in speed, if they're going fast, if they're going slow. They're all like, I'm paying attention again, I'm moving fast, and I'm on my slow. So they're fluctuating in their speed. If they have their brights on and they're on a big dark road and cars are going past them and they have failed to dim those lights back down, and they're blinding the person passing them, they're not paying attention. That might be in their head. Or they don't light it, the inside interior light. Or if they float, you can tell. All right, maintain those good habits. If you have a reverse camera, use it. If you have some of these things, aren't on all cars, but they're becoming more of a regular in cars over the years. So a lot of these things today. So the reverse camera, lane depart warning, that means if you accidentally veered off your lane a little bit, it'll alert you. Your blind spot monitoring, where there might be cameras on the side mirrors, which see the car or blind spot, and brake assist. If you get too close to a car ahead of you, it will alert you. So remember to scan all areas before backing up, always pay attention, every 5 to 7 seconds you're scanning your mirrors, and to scan the horizon in front of you. These are some examples of some, just a few, sitting anywhere near all of the road signs that you might see. Has anybody seen some of these? So this is obviously not from America, because it should say railroad crossing.
Not everybody speaks English.
But a lot of these do.
I've never been there. Lots like horse carriage ones.
This might not look exactly like that, but there are max clearance signs, especially if you see tunnels that are kind of smooth. There's one in Wall.
Like two next to it. So, right?
So. Number 15,
Thanks.
have the right attitude. Super important.
What can you think about that? Think you can turn crash?
Why would I need?
Well, because you can have. You scream at the person up, you can turn, go into the crash, boom.
If you have a bad, for other people to be.
What?
Yeah.
But
What are you saying? That's true. So, safe driving involves two equally important elements: good skills, good attitude. So have the correct driver safety attitude, because remember what's important. It's your family, your friends, those that you love that are in your life. So the most important task you can accomplish every day is riding home safely, because your life, your family, and your health are the most important things that you have. So, in summary, these are some of the things. These are some of the things that we went over today. You have, I might have to follow over the slide, but I didn't mention all of these. So is anything on here that you want to talk more about?
yeah.
Or you have any questions about?
Right now, 8. There you
It's
go.
not within 8.
What was it?
So, one thing we didn't talk about specifically is being predictable. What do you think being predictable? One of the things that we talked about, what would classify as being predictable? Izzy?
Having a plan. Oh, no, no.
Yeah,
Like,
but-
yeah.
Doing. So that they're like surprised. They like don't respond all and do.
Absolutely. 100%, thank you. What about avoid assumptions? Do you think about that?
Avoid assuming to do another than
What would you assume about the direction?
Well,
They're drunk.
they're switching lanes, swirling, I'm not sure if like switching lanes, you can be that would be the next time.
Okay.
Just because a car doesn't have its brake lights on, doesn't mean it's not stopped. It could just be burned out.
Very true. That's illegal, but very true. It happens. Did you say something to me?
What if they drunk?
They might be drunk. You shouldn't just assume that. That's kind of what they said. All right. We didn't go over in a lot of detail proper vehicle maintenance, but that's important too. I did mention being able to clear tires, moving things. Do you have any questions?
I still don't know what 8 is.
It's not a question.
Did you learn anything tonight? Anything surprise you? Anything you're like, oh, I knew that?
I think most of this. That, a flash happens every 18 seconds.
Crazy, isn't it? No. Was there anything that we did cover that you wish that we had or hoped that we would go over?
if it sounds like there's a screaming child and in the car, there's probably something wrong.
True. You have another thing?
There's something to say for that, like, have a good attitude, maybe. What is
Get
it?
in there?
I'm gonna say there was somebody like, the driver was angry at their child, and they were young. Would that be bad attitude?
Yes. Another slide presentation that I looked at that I didn't grab this slide and this one, but it was really good, was to make sure you avoid road rage. Why that's important. Why is avoiding road rage? First, what is road rage?
You, when someone does something you don't like, you start yelling at them.
Okay, what else can road rage be?
Like,
Honking and horn,
trying to hit them, like. okay.
not slowing down, even in front of you. Anything that is a negative or bad attitude or behavior towards somebody else. So why do you want to avoid it though? How can it get you in trouble?
Go to jail.
What if there's not a cop? What if the cops don't get there in time?
Then you speed away. If you're being,
What if you're gonna get,
you can't be paying attention.
You travel and see.
cause that's not scary.
But what if they have guns?
Okay.
What if they have guns?
So in this day and age, with all honesty, you avoid road rage because people are crazy. Because they could walk you in somewhere, they could get out of their car, and they can come up to you with intention to hurt you. They might follow you to your home. They might get your tab and find out where you. And they might have a gun, and hurt you. Yeah, road rage is serious. Minor road rage that you guys mentioned, you shouldn't do it because it can lead to more, whatever, but
Takes a death.
road rage can get to a point for some people where they're so angry at the person that they will hurt or harm. So you avoid road rage at all costs. Do not upset other people. Not worth it. All right. This was supposed to be good. Didn't matter. All right. Okay, there are no questions. Thank you very much. I appreciate your time tonight. You ending, were you recording? You ended it, okay. All right. Everybody good? Okay.